So you just got your home inspection report back, and it's 47 pages long, and there are 83 items flagged. Now what? Well, when you're buying a house without a realtor, this is where a lot of DIY buyers panic, because unlike having an agent, you don't have someone to translate this report and tell you what's serious or help you negotiate repairs. Here's the secret. You don't need an agent to handle this correctly. You just need the right strategy. Hey, I'm Nick, and here at the DIY Homebuyer Academy, I'm teaching you how to buy a home without having to hire a costly buyer's agent. And today, we're talking about home inspections, specifically how to use your inspection report as a negotiation tool, how to spot the red flags that should kill a deal, and what to do if the seller pushes back during negotiations. This is stuff that a buyer agent would normally handle for you, but I'm going to show you how to do it yourself and save thousands of dollars in the process. So, first, let's talk about what a home inspection report actually is and what it isn't. An inspection report is a snapshot of visual issues in the home on a specific day. It is not a prediction of future problems, and it's not a punch list of everything the seller needs to fix. And it is definitely not a reason to kill a deal just because you see a long list of items. Here's what many DIY buyers get wrong. They see a list of 50 plus items on a report and they freak out, thinking that the house is a disaster. But here's the reality. Every house has issues. I've seen brand new construction homes with 30 item inspection reports. The question isn't, does this home have problems? It's which problems actually matter. And when you're buying without an agent, you need to learn how to answer that question yourself because there's no one else in your corner who's going to be doing it for you. Now, I break every inspection report into 3 tiers. And this is how I taught my clients to think about reports when I was representing buyers, and it's how you should think about them now. Tier 1 is safety and structural concerns. These are your deal breakers, or at least major negotiation points. They include things like foundation issues, roof problems, anything that would suggest there's less than 3 to 5 years of life left, electrical hazards like aluminum wiring, Federal Pacific panels, or reverse polarity, active water intrusion or major leaks, HVAC system failures, or structural damage. In this, I would include wood rot, potentially things like mold. Now, these items either need to be fixed by the seller or you need a significant price reduction to cover them. And if you can't get one of those things, then you should walk away from the home. No exceptions. Why? Because these items affect the safety, insurability, or the structural integrity of the home. Some lenders won't even approve a loan with certain issues present. Now, the second tier is functional issues. These are legitimate problems that need addressing, but they're far more negotiable. These are things like minor roof repairs, plumbing leaks or outdated fixtures, HVAC maintenance items, drainage problems, window and door repairs, deteriorating decks or stairs, and perhaps if it was a very minor mold issue, then I would put that in tier 2. Now, you want the seller to address these, or you want a credit to handle them yourselves. These are to be thought of more as negotiation chips. Now, tier 3 is going to be everything related to regular home maintenance and cosmetic. These are items that pad out your report, but honestly, they don't really matter that much. These are things like minor caulking gaps, small drywall cracks, loose doorknobs, worn weather stripping, recommendations for routine maintenance or monitor this type of items. Here's the truth. You're not negotiating for tier 3 items. I don't care what the report says, the seller is going to laugh at you if you ask them to fix every loose outlet cover. So, tier 3 items are things that are good to know, but you should see them as your responsibility as the new homeowner. They're normal wear and tear, so move on quickly past these. When you're buying without an agent, here's exactly what you need to do throughout the inspection process. Step 1, attend your inspection. Now, this is a non negotiable. When you don't have an agent, you must be at the inspection. Why? Because the inspector is going to tell you things verbally that aren't going to make it into the report. They'll say things like, yeah, this is in the report, but honestly, it's not a big deal. Or this concerns me more than the other items. That kind of feedback is gold. It's the intel that helps you separate tier 1 from tier 3. Plus, you'll be able to ask the inspector questions in real time, like how much would this typically cost to fix? Is this something that I could DIY? And would this affect my insurance or resale value? Now, they might not know the answer to all of those, but at least you have the opportunity to ask them, and they might have connections of people who do know the answers. And as a pro tip, just bring a notebook and write down the inspector's verbal comments next to any issues that are raised, because you're going to want that feedback when it comes time to negotiate. Now, step 2 is you're going to want to get contractor quotes. For any tier 1 or significant tier 2 items, get actual contractor quotes before you negotiate. Why? Because you need real numbers. The seller is going to push back if you say the foundation needs work without any evidence of what that costs. But when you come to the table and say, I have 3 quotes ranging from $4,500 to $6,200 for the foundation repair, well, now you're negotiating with facts, not feelings. So call contractors for foundation issues, roof replacements, HVAC replacements, major electrical work, significant plumbing repairs, and anything that has to do with environmental hazards like mold, lead, or asbestos. Your next step, step 3, is to prioritize ruthlessly. This is where a lot of DIY buyers mess up. They try to negotiate everything. Don't do that. Instead, pick your top 5 to 7 issues maximum. Focus on tier 1 items and maybe 1 or 2 big tier 2 items. But that's it. Why? Well, because when you come with a list of 30 repair requests, the seller sees you as a difficult buyer and they might not be willing to negotiate at all. But when you come with a few legitimate safety or structural concerns, well, the seller sees you as a reasonable person and expect, well, any buyer would probably ask for that. Remember, you're not an agent with dozens of deals in the pipeline. You're buying just one house. So don't let your ego or desire for perfection kill your deal over really minor stuff. And then step 4, you need to know your negotiation options. You have 4 options when negotiating inspection issues. The first is that the seller repairs the items before closing. This is good for small items, but it's risky for big ones. Number 2 is that you ask for a credit at closing. And this is my favorite option because you control the repairs and the contractor. Number 3 is you ask for a price reduction to the home. And number 4 is that you ask for the seller to pay for a home warranty. But this usually only covers appliances, not structural stuff. Now, most DIY buyers should push for option number 2, getting credits at closing. Because when the seller hires someone to just get work done, you often get cheap, rushed work. But when you get a seller credit, then you can hire the right contractor to do good work. Then you have the relationship with them and warranty coverage as applicable. Now, here's something you need to know that most buyer agents won't tell you. Not all agents want you to negotiate hard on inspections, especially buyer agents. Why? Well, because your buyer agent would only get paid if the deal actually closes. And if you're too demanding and the seller decides not to work with you, well, then your buyer agent could lose their commission. So I've actually seen agents discourage buyers from asking for legitimate repairs because they didn't want to rock the boat. I've also seen agents tell buyers, oh, that's not a big deal, when it absolutely was a big deal. And they did that just to keep the transaction moving. This is why I say that buying without an agent can actually protect you on inspections because you're the only one at the table whose priority is truly your best interests, not just closing the deal. Now, of course, good agents don't do this, and great agents will fight for their clients. But when you're doing it yourself, you don't have to wonder if your agent is prioritizing their commission over your safety and long term financial well being. That said, you also need to check yourself. Are you being reasonable? Or are you being nitpicky because you're scared of making a $700,000 decision? There's a balance. And when you're self represented, you do need to find it. Now, let me be clear. Some inspection findings should end the deal, period. You should walk away if you find major foundation failure. We're not talking just settling cracks, but if there is structural failure, sinking, bowing, done. Also, if there is a massive mold infestation, especially black toxic mold in HVAC systems, yikes, that could be a deal killer. Another one is extensive water damage with an unknown source. If no specialist can find where the water damage is coming from, run away fast. You also want to avoid any dangerous electrical systems. Federal Pacific panels are known for creating fire issues. Aluminum wiring is no good. Major code violations. That's all stuff you got to watch out for. Roof with less than 1 year of life left and a seller won't replace your credit. Yikes, that could easily be 30 grand. And then if there's evidence of unpermitted major work like room additions, electrical, plumbing without permits, you could be walking into a massive, massive headache. And here's a big one that no one talks about. If the seller refuses to negotiate on any of these tier one safety items, you should walk away immediately. I really don't care how much you love the house. If the seller won't budge on legitimate safety concerns, that tells you something about their character and about potential hidden issues. A reasonable seller will negotiate reasonable requests, and an unreasonable seller is a red flag in and of itself. So, what happens when you submit your inspection requests and the seller says no? First, don't panic. Pushback is normal. So, here's how to handle it. If they reject everything, counter with just your top 2 to 4 tier 1 items. Strip it down to safety only. And if they still say no, walk away. The inspection contingency is there to protect you, so use it. Now, if they agree to some but not all, evaluate what it is that they agreed to. Did you get your tier 1 items addressed? If so, then consider accepting it. Remember, you're not always going to get everything. If they want to meet in the middle, this is really common. They might say, we'll do repairs but not give credits, or we'll give you $3,000 in credits but not the full $5,000. And this is where you need to do math and get creative. Maybe you accept a $3,000 credit plus they fix the roof leak. Or maybe you ask for them to pay for a home warranty to cover the HVAC concerns. The key is this: stay focused on tier 1 items. Those are your hill to die on. Everything else is going to be flexible. So let me leave you with a few final tips that will save you major headaches. 1, choose your inspector carefully. Don't use the seller's recommendation or the seller agent's recommendation, and definitely don't use just the cheapest option. Read reviews, check credentials, and look for inspectors who have construction backgrounds, not just certifications. I love inspectors who used to be contractors or builders. Secondly, read the whole report, not just the summary. The summary is generic, but the real insights are in the detailed sections where they explain what they found and why it matters. 3, don't use your inspection as a price renegotiation tool. If If you're asking for repairs worth $10,000, but then also asking for another $15,000 off the purchase price because of all the issues, well, you're going to look greedy. Pick one: repairs or credits, or price reduction, but not both. 4, document everything in writing. When you negotiate repairs, get specific language in the contract about what you want done, who's going to do it, and with what permits if necessary. And 5, do a final walkthrough. If the seller agreed to any repairs, verify that they were actually completed before closing with full invoices of the contractors used. And remember, the inspection contingency has a deadline, so use your time wisely, but don't drag it out. Sellers get nervous when buyers go silent for days, so do be diligent during your due diligence period. Look, home inspections can be intimidating, especially when you're doing this without an agent. But here's the truth: you are probably going to handle it better than an agent would because you actually care about the house, and nobody cares about your financial situation better than you. Just stick to the strategy. Tier your issues, focus on safety and structure, get real quotes, and negotiate with facts. I've seen so many DIY buyers navigate this process successfully, and I'm totally confident you can too. If you've found this helpful, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. I post DIY home buying content every week. And coming up next, we're going to be talking about how to write a winning offer without a buyer's agent. And last thing before you go, drop a comment, let me know. Have you been through a home inspection? What was your biggest surprise or challenge?